Hello everyone, welcome back to the KMTRADERS channel. So this is the full market analysis volume 88. Again, giving you a look at our insights for this up and coming week and comparing our analysis from last week's video as well. So those annotations are going to be left on like so we can compare it and adjust them as we go through each pair. So we are going to start off with gold. So what we explained last week, we were looking for pretty much a buying opportunity, and what we saw through price action is, completely pushing lower still. So for this week, I'm still looking at a bias towards the upside, and even though that we didn't get that buying opportunity this week, it's not a problem, because as price pushes lower, if this does rally towards the upside, it just means that there's more profits that we can secure along the way. So now we're at this range, and now we've pretty much doubled the range now, so we've got double the profits to kind of capture. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, this is why patience in this game is really required in order to really maximize your growth. So essentially what I'm looking out for here is just this turnaround in the market where we start to see price push up higher, and for now I just want to target 1840. I don't really want to push anywhere higher yet, so I think this is a good amount of pips to even look at, just under 1,000. So 1,000 pips is obviously a handful, but yeah, again, we just have to wait and see what price does. So yeah, so in terms of where this turnover could be, it's not necessarily going to be exactly here. Again, this is just a rough estimate, but well, it's just a guess, sorry, but we're essentially waiting for price to push lower potentially and then start to turn over towards the upside, and that's where price action comes into play. So make sure you have some clear knowledge on that, and that should be able to help you take your trades. Excuse me. So let's move on to now EURUSD. So what we looked at last week was again a similar situation, where we're looking at a buying opportunity, and we're hoping that this will rally towards the upside. So we are staying very close to this low here, so we are getting closer to this low at 1.165. so the bias is that we're going to be looking for buying opportunities as long as we stay above this low of the market, so we can still have this area of the market to play. So if I just put a line here, so we can have any buying opportunities around this area in the market here. So again, that's something that I'm going to be waiting for, and we're going to hopefully try and target the upside. We can look at 1.19 as a nice level, so just to extend this zone across, but again, it really depends what the market wants to do, and if price really does want to rally all the way up into that 1.235 that we were mentioning before, but again, it's going to take some time. So we just need to see what's really happening in here, because there is a possibility that price could break lower, and if so, then we're still heading lower, and then if this does happen, then we'll have to wait for a retest, and I will have to make a new analysis video just in case anything has majorly changed, but again, not to worry. This is why it's important to stay patient, because otherwise you'll get into trades that don't really work out in the long run. So I'm not really too worried if this does work or doesn't work. There's some scenarios that we can look at afterwards. So moving on to NZDUSD, so similar story. We're looking at a buying opportunity. We can see prices dropped off nice and gradually towards the downside, so that's good to see. Again, we're just waiting for price to find that momentum towards the upside to switch over, see that correct price action we want to see. And again, for us, this buying opportunity is only valid if we stay above this low of the market, so roughly around 0.68. And we're looking to target 0.73 or even 0.745 even. So we do have a long way to go, but I'm liking this price action right now. So let's just see what we can understand here in this retracement here. So let's just see what how far this can drop down, and then that's where we're going to have to wait for price to really switch up to the upside. Okay, so moving on to AUDUSD, similar thing again. We're looking for price to turn up to the upside. We can see price doing what we were expecting, and that was essentially pushing lower. This is the low that we are interested in, so 0.71. If price stays above this low, we should be able to look for that buying opportunity. So I'm quite key and set on that, so I'll probably just move it just a bit lower just in case price does move excuse me, a little bit lower with it as well. So yeah, we can see price just trailing off lower and lower and lower, and yeah, we're just going to see if price has that ability to turn over towards the upside. And again, we're looking to target 0.8, which is a very long way, so we just have to stay patient with holding on to those trades. I'm not think about that it's gonna, if we buy here, it will immediately get to 0.8. Again, it will take a lot of time, and yeah, so make sure you're trailing in your profits. So that's where I'm looking at with that pair. Most of the thoughts for this week actually have not really changed. There is a few changes, but there isn't really that many, if I'm being honest. So this is pretty much kind of going to be a bit of a repeat from last week, but it's good to see what price action is doing. So nonetheless, so again, if you gain some value, I'll try and do my best to point out some new things if I see any. So USDJPY. So if we just scroll out, this one might be a good actually one to explain. So if we just punch it on a daily, we can see how messy, and this doesn't really look too appetizing to trade. This really does need to break out at some point. Over the last year or so, I've not really been too intensely involved with USDJPY just because the moves haven't really been that worth the push. So for example, we're in a range here, this up to there, again there's a nice 100 or so pips, but you have to really capture the tops and the bottoms in order to do so. So again, I'm waiting for price to pretty much push up for me, and pretty much play out something like this. I'm probably will going to keep this in the back of my mind. I probably won't be looking to trade this anytime soon, because of how choppy and how messy this is. But essentially, this is kind of like the map that I want to see happening so far. Well, happen and play out. But ideally, just want to see price break towards the upside. So yeah, let's just see what happens with this one. Yeah, I can't think of anything too much, but we're pretty much just in a range bound, and that daily chart just looks awful, and you can see how price has not really been doing anything too much. But this is pretty much this August period for you, I guess, where there isn't that much really moving around. So just take that into consideration, I guess. So moving on to CADJPY. Two scenarios that we drew from last week was this possibility of price pushing up and breaking these highs even into 88.5, or the possibility of price melting and breaking the low, and in that sense we would wait for the retest. So I'm going to still have that both scenarios in play here just in case we get a break towards the downside, but I'm still looking for a break towards the upside, so a nice buying opportunity. So we'll definitely see what we can pull out of this one. Again, and I'm liking this play excuse me, this bullish action here, but again, it's not necessarily too strong, so we'll see what happens here and what unfolds. We may need some more look into this pair. I'll probably take a look at that in the group, in the private group, but yeah, I'll see what we can come up with CADJPY, because this one is a bit in between. Looking into EJ, so EJ here, again, I'm looking for price to make its way towards the upside. So we can see price is possibly turning over right now, but again, we need to make sure that this is the turnover point here, and if so, we could look for price rallying into 1.134, and the other scenario is if price does break this low, we could see price turnover again still. So I'm still looking at a long opportunity for this pair still. Again, it really just depends where price wants to really roll over, I guess. So we are getting close to this low in the market. So again, it's key that we stay alert off this level here, so 127 or 128, and see if we can see a potential turnaround in the market, and see if we can see price rally into 134, I guess. So that's where we're potentially heading into. So just keep your eyes onto that. NZDUSD, again, we were looking at last week that there is this possibility of price breaking the high of the market, which is here. So it's around the 80 flat, and we've had this huge rally towards the upside. We see prices slowly recovering, so we could look at again here a buying opportunity towards the upside, and then we're going to be waiting to see if price has that ability to break 80 flat. And then the second scenario here is that if we do get the buy scenario, but we fail to get price to break the 80 flat level, there is a possibility of price breaking lower, and we would then look for the retest here and then aim towards to take this low here. So it depends what we see in the market first, but just being aware of how strong this price action collectively has been, and waiting for price to see if it wants to rally up higher, or if it's going to reject, then we could look at that sell-off opportunity. So again, stay patient, stay mindful, and we'll see what we can come out of this in this week's price action. So yeah, so looking at AUDJPY, we're looking at a buying opportunity here. Again, from this low here, as long as we don't break this low at 78, we should be able to see price rally towards the upside. So we're just staying patient on this one. We're waiting for price to probably push a bit lower, and then it could have that possibility of breaking up higher, and we're looking just at 86 for now, but we've got all this space to fill, so we'll just see where we can grow into, where we can move into. Again, it could just go up to 82 and start to reject, so that's just something to keep in mind. But again, even just getting from 80 to 82, that's a good amount of pips there. So try not to be greedy with this, like I always say, and just track your profits along the way. So looking at USDCHF, so here what I was thinking is that we could have been looking at price to drop just a bit lower before, but we ended up hitting that 83 level that we spoke about. So here was the nice turning point in the end, and it was quite complicated, but as we can see here, price pretty much rattled through the market, and it's on its way now. So we'll see what we can come through with this pair. I think on let's take a look on the daily. So we can see price here pushing up. So if we take a look at the 95 level as our next point of target, Let's take a look back on the 4. So there is one possibility. Again, we are looking at buying opportunity here, so we're not going to just buy now just for the hell of it. What we could be looking into is for price to do one or two things. So if price breaks the 95 barrier, then we'll just have to wait for the retest, and then we'll look for that continuation, but that's going to be a lot of time before that happens. The other one is if price just fails to break the 95 and breaks lower and comes all the way back down into 89. So that is a possibility, and again, that would be your buying opportunity to go higher. So that's something that, you know, we can keep an eye out for. Two scenarios here, but most likely I think we could get a break of 95 right now, because this could be leading for price to break towards the upside. So yeah, definitely let's just see what happens. I'm not trying to be 100% sure that we will get price to break higher, but I do want to try and get in on a buy. So for me, it will be a retest scenario, or we'll see price break lower, and if so, we can look at a buy. So taking a look into USD CAD, so let's move some of these annotations aside. So we can see that we're pretty much looking at this level and this range here. So if we just move this across, I'm looking at price to pretty much see if it can break the 1.295 level. So that's pretty much this high here. If we can break that high, it will be a fair continuation play, and we should be able to see price to break up higher. But I'm quite adamant on this setup still, so in the sense where price breaks up higher, which it has done, and then reverses to the downside to potentially drop into 1.24, even lower, and then hopefully we could look at some buying opportunities in that play, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But like always, there is a second scenario that we can look into, and that is if price breaks the 1295 barrier, then it's just going to be a retest trade, but that's going to take time to for that retest to happen. So we just stay patient with that, and we'll see how the plays goes. But you know, I think that with that strong candle, it could have that ability to push higher, but at the same note, it is playing out the way that we're thinking, in the sense that price could just make one more push higher before it turns over to the downside. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll take some chances on this one. So we'll see what happens through this week or so. So again, guys, that will be all for this week. Again, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, I do appreciate your time for listening. If you have any other comments, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. And again, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So thank you very much for listening, guys. Leave a like, make sure you're subscribed, and we'll catch you guys in our next week's video.